Hi, I'm Bill Koenig with Watch.org. It's WATCH.org in front of the UN facility here in Jerusalem. Well, we know that the UN has quite a history with the State of Israel, but I'd like to start with the Balfour Agreement of 1917, which was the British offer of a Jewish homeland. Eventually became the San Remo Agreement of 1922. And Israel was to have a lot more land through that resolution. Eventually, the San Remo Agreement, being part of the League of Nations merged with the UN, and the UN in that agreement was supposed to fulfill or acknowledge previous resolutions of the League of Nations. But anyhow, Israel was eventually formed in 1947. The UN passed a mandate, an agreement that would eventually lead to Israel becoming a state in May 14, 1948. But what's important here is the UN history, not only before 1947 in the partition agreement, but since then. We look at the UN Resolution 242 and 338 that have applied pressure on Israel to give up land back to the 1967 six-day borders. Also, there's UN Resolution 1701 that was agreed to in the summer of 2006. This was to stop the war between Israel and Hezbollah. The UN peacekeepers were supposed to keep order. They were supposed to keep weapons from getting into Hezbollah. And we've seen in the last 18 years, 150,000 rockets ended up in Hezbollah's hand, 15,000 missiles, and obviously the UN did a horrible job. And once again, there's this history, this pattern of UN resolutions, UN such as 242, 338, 1701, and also the UNRWA schools, the UN-funded schools in Gaza and other parts of this area, Lebanon, and also believe in Jordan, that have become schools of incitement against Israel and the Jewish people. What we're seeing right now is the international community, through leaders of other countries, Macron, Macron in France and others, believing in, and even Biden to a certain extent in the United States, believing since there's UN resolutions that they have the right, whether it's in a UN General Assembly message or just pressure in the press or pressure governmentally, that they can tell Israel what to do because of this 1947 partition plan and Israel eventually becoming an approved UN state in 1948. So once again, we as believers in the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, fully understand that the covenant land of Israel was given by God to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and their descendants. From the Euphrates River through 3 or 4 Arab countries today, obviously through Israel into the great river there in Egypt. And I think that we are literally living in the time that the Jewish prophets spoke of in the Old Testament, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, Zechariah. I mean, these are the prophets that spoke of the day that we're living in. And we must remember, when it comes to the covenant land of Israel, God did not intend for the biblical heartland of Israel, Judea, Samaria, and Jerusalem to be part of an Arab state or to be an Arab state. So, as we know, the Bible speaks of the significance of Jerusalem, and we consider Jerusalem God's time clock as well as the state of Israel. We are living in the most important biblical and prophetic times in history, with the epicenter being right here in Jerusalem.